Air Force offers help to LGBTQ personnel and families hurt by state laws. This is in response to Florida's bill that everyone's been calling the Don't Say Gay bill. Now the military is stepping in. Is this appropriate or inappropriate? Leave me a comment. So we've got what this article from Air Force, from Stars and Stripes, but from the Air Force, calls an unusual move. An unusual move. The U.S. Air Force recently informed its service members that it will support their families with medical and legal help if they are affected by dozens of new state laws restricting LGBTQ rights, including relocating families if the need arises. So if you feel like you need to do a sex change on your child and your state doesn't allow it, they will move you due to hardship and exceptional family member policies. What do you think about that? Leave me a comment. It's pretty insane if you ask me, but I'll get into why I think that it's insane here in a minute. The assistance was made widely public in a March 24th news release that initially attracted little attention. It announced a de facto expansion of human rights protections for these families, these military families, as states have moved to ban gender-affirming care for minors, restrict teaching about sexual orientation and gender identity in public schools, and prohibit trans athletes from playing on girls' sports teams. You notice that they never say prohibit trans athletes from playing on boys' sports teams? You notice that? First of all, there should be, just as a fact of the matter, no person should undergo a medical procedure, especially surgery, unless it's absolutely necessary for life-saving or quality of life-saving needs. And you have to really rule out everything else first. It should be an absolute last resort. You should never go under the knife or medication unless you've exhausted every other option and waited it out as long as possible. And I'm talking about knee surgery, shoulder surgery, anything, any surgery. You shouldn't just be cool with any surgery or medication. That should be the last thing that you do. Okay, I'll move on. Various laws and legislation are being proposed and passed in states across America that may affect LGBTQ airmen, guardians, and or their LGBTQ dependents in different ways. The Department of the Air Force has assignment, medical, legal, and other resources available to support airmen, guardians, and their families, the news release said. Those resources include free counsel to families trying to understand new state laws, as well as mental health support available through their military medical facilities. Actually, you know what I wonder? Where do Dodea schools stand in all this? What about Dodea schools? The Exceptional Family Member Program, the EFMP, which normally helps people with like special needs children, like Down syndrome, autism, things like that, physical disabilities, which offers such resources to families with special needs, allows personnel to be reassigned to different states with safer environments for their families. But in the current political climate, a category has been added for families to seek use of the program. This is kind of crazy. Airmen and guardians who wish to address assignment concerns as a result of local laws or legislation should engage their respective chain of command and assignment teams at AFPC. That's the Air Force Personnel Command. The family members receiving gender-affirming treatment or likely to receive such treatment may and should utilize the EFMP to assist with any change of station movements regardless of location. It's funny because if you're stationed overseas, good luck dealing with like local hospitals for that kind of stuff. They're going to laugh you out of town. The move has been cheered by LGBTQ advocates. Lindsay Church, the executive director and co-founder of the Minority Veterans of America and a non-binary and queer Navy veteran, said concerns about a family member's safety presents a threat to national security. I highly doubt any of these state laws, as they're actually written, do that. At least from what I've seen. If you actually go look at these things, they're not what they appear to be on the internet. Service members with LGBTQ family members who fear for themselves and the safety of their families carry an undue burden as a result of these hateful policies. We hope that the Air Force providing legal protections to these service members and alternatives to duty stations where service members have the potential to be harmed by these policies. The suggestion that people could be harmed by these policies is the part that's weird to me. Are we not going to talk about how California has a major crime problem and just existing in California puts you and your family at risk of being assaulted, robbed, killed? Can you move out of California if you think that that's likely? Can you move out of California if rent costs are so high that your military family has to live in a bad neighborhood surrounded by criminals? Can you move then when your kids aren't safe? No? But you can move out of Florida or Texas? That's a joke. Somebody here being identified as A, and that's my real beef with this, is why is this the issue that they choose to stand their ground on as far as this goes? But they have no regard for the safety of families living in dangerous neighborhoods, bad climates, soldiers up in Alaska who are committing suicide at an astounding rate because of the conditions up there, soldiers down on the border dealing with that Operation Lone Star mission who are dealing with suicide and mistreatment and poor living conditions. But this is where they're going to say that their child is equal to a family member dealing with a child with Down syndrome or autism or a physical disability. You're leaving so many people behind. So this person identified as A, the 34-year-old wife of a veteran in South Texas and mother of 3 children, 2 of whom identify as LGBTQ, and including 1 who is transgender, echoed that sentiment. I mean, I get it. Like, if you know any family who has kids who are dealing with sexuality issues, then you can see that these issues are real and that they do really affect families and that they should do everything that they can to take care of these kids and the family members. I have no issue with that. No, I have no issue with that. But this one issue is the issue that the Air Force decides is going to be the one that they make this exception for and none other. Bullying, cyberbullying, actual violence, gangs, people living in poverty because their monthly allowances aren't enough to feed them. And this is the issue? So she says she hopes that other branches of the military and veterans are provided resources. Her husband was a Marine and her family cannot access the Air Force support. The family depends on military health care, including for her trans child who is being identified by her first initial out of fear of legal retaliation in Texas. The family has been increasingly on edge after a February 22nd directive by Texas Governor Greg Abbott ordering the state's Department of Family and Protective Services to investigate child abuse, any gender-affirming care that families and facilities provide to trans children. I'm going to stick to what I said about, surgery and medication to kids or anybody who doesn't absolutely need it. I understand the argument about it's for mental health, but it doesn't make sense to me. I can't get it to jive. On March 11th, a judge in Austin issued a temporary injunction against the order, calling it an unconstitutional overreach and a violation of the democratic process. The injunction blocked investigations and prosecutions of families, but soon after, Attorney General Ken Paxton tweeted that he had filed an appeal claiming the injunction was frozen. By then, at least 9 such investigations had been opened, so this is still an underway thing. Teachers were terrified about whether they had to report their students. Faith leaders were called on to report families, including military families, so the implications certainly filtered into military health care. I mean, it's a simple question. Does TRICARE already approve it? Does TRICARE already pay for it or not? I'm wondering about that. She added that her family has been able to discuss with our provider what options are still available through military health care, and not all of them are. She declined to comment on whether her child was receiving any gender-affirming health care. So, it's another example here. For Heather Lynn Van Wild, who served in the Air Force from 2000 to 2005, the Air Force publicly declared support would have made a vast difference in her service. She transitioned after her tenure in the military, which was during the Don't Ask, Don't Tell, DADT policy. During the Clinton administration at the time, gay, lesbian, and bisexual service members were prohibited from disclosing their sexual orientation or speaking about same-sex relationships while serving. I don't like Don't Ask, Don't Tell. That always made me uncomfortable. I'm glad that's not a thing anymore. But now we're just talking about kids, and there's a few more examples of families here who are going through such issues. And then it says from another person who is being quoted here, her family has kids who are going through these issues. Families need protection. The Department of Defense protects active duty soldiers in other countries. Now you're having to apply that in states in our country. False. Absolutely false. But whatever. You guys tell me what you think in the comments down below. How does this make you feel? Do you think this is a good idea, bad idea? Where do you stand on it? I'm curious. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button up in the corner here and check out this next video. If you want, in the description down below, there's links where you can get Scuttlebutt Show merch and find out how you can support the channel. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you guys very soon.